Okay, we're back. As you can see, it's already acting as a shop. Even though it's not the kind of shop it's intended for. Obviously, I guess you can see with the amount of tools that are going on here, it probably will be used for this purpose. Again, anyway, let's see what we have to work with here on these windows. We're working on the windows, trimming the windows today. All right, what we have to establish is this opening square? Is it level? Is it plumb on the sides? Is it, the bottom level, and then once you get the bottom level, are the sides square with that? Is the top parallel with that? Is it from the window out, is it square this way? Is it square this way? You see the bottom slopes off here. All of that has to be dealt with. Okay, so what for now, I've got the bottom, I've got a straight level across the bottom. And I'm doing that through the use of these little shims. As you can see. It's almost touching in the middle, and it's up a little bit on that end and a little more on that end, and you see the shims here. When I have a chance, when I run across some nice clear material, I run a bunch of it through the saw and I make these little shims. These things go anywhere from a 32nd of an inch up to a 1/4 of an inch I think in 32nd increments. When you can stack, you can do whatever you like. So like when I'm doing door jambs or I'm doing windows, I like to go with those. Shingles work nice. The what do they call them? Shim shingles work nice too. You get the two wedges and you oppose them so you can make whatever dimension you want. But like I like to start with this on the hinge side. I make a nice straight plumb surface from the top to the bottom, right where the hinges are going to mount. I put these so I can set that leg of the door jamb and just mount it to a nice straight plumb surface. And then I'll use the shims on the opposite side, on the latch side. So here what we're starting with, as you can see, the plywood is a straight edge, full length of the window. So I'm going to put these little blocks that I made, build up that surface a little bit. I've got these blocks and I think they're 1/2 inch and 5/8 if I remember. Yeah, maybe even 3/4. I'm going to use these as supports where I'm going to nail my trim. Hang with me here a minute. Get rid of some of this stuff. Kind of hard doing this with one hand. Oh, bouncing you around quite a bit. Sorry about that. All right, so you notice on this window, this leg of the window here sticks up 1 3/4 inches. So if I just put a piece of 3/4 inch trim on that, I got an awful lot of flange there. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to put these over here. In other words, I'll put those across this bottom until I have a straight line, from that corner to that corner, and whatever I need in the middle, I'll create a nice straight line using 3-4 blocks, spaced out across the opening. And when I put that frame in, that's where I'll nail the frame to those blocks. And what that'll give me, essentially, the frame is 3/4 of an inch. So that'll give me that much reveal on the window frame, right? On the side, you see how I do the same thing on the side? It's a little different because they left more space over here. The top, again, is going to be different than the bottom. Unless I vary the block, the top is going to be different than the bottom because there's more space there too. And that's why I made different size blocks. So right here I have 1/2 inch and 3/4. I can use 5/8 too. I've got miscellaneous chunks of plywood that I can cut up into those blocks. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start using the straight edge and the level and make those edges. I'll start with the bottom. I'll get a nice straight line across the bottom. That's level. And then I'll square off of that up the sides. No, I'll parallel the top. I'll parallel across the top to that level line. And then I'll square up the two sides. And then once I've got an opening, that square, level, plumb, all that good stuff, then I'll make the frame that'll fit inside of it. All right, so here we go. Bye. Okay, so this is what it should look like. See all these little blocks? And now you see all the shims, like right there, and there. All kinds of little shims here. I mean, as thin as a file folder. Oh, and here I glued a little skinny little shim on there, and it doesn't want to stick, it wants to curl up from the moisture. So I'm putting weight on it. Anyway, yeah, see, because like these pieces aren't square with the face of the window, they lean over or they lean in. So you not only have to go square this way, that way, you got to come square off the frame of the face of the window. So, you know, it is a lot of stuff. Anyway, what I did is I put them a foot apart. I put these a foot apart. And going up the vertical, the overall is 28 and a half. So I just went in the middle. I went 14 and a quarter to the center. So anyway, that's what it needs to look like. And this is what I did. Once I determined the dimension from the top to the bottom, you know, the level fools you because it's not exact. You know, the bubble is, anyway, I made this to act as a guide. To act as a guide. So that's where it fits, you see, from top to bottom, and I went between every one of these with that piece to make it parallel, because I used the level first. Leveled the bottom, and I leveled the top. You know, the bubbles between the two lines, right? And when I measured that side, it was 28 and a half. And I measured that side, and it was 28 and 5/8. Obviously, like I said, the level said it was level in both cases, but it wasn't parallel. So that's when I ended up with these little, you see these tiny little shims here to close up that 1/8 inch gap that I had. So, you know, so the frame, when you put the frame up, you probably would never be able to tell if it wasn't square, but you put the molding around the edge of it, and when you make 45-degree corners, they don't work if it isn't square. So you start fudging with the corners and fussing with and it's just, it's a pain. It's work to do it right, and it's even more work to jury rig it so it looks like it's right. I don't know, in my mind anyway. But anyway, that's what it should look like before you put the frame up. So now I gotta build some frame pieces, and I'm gonna do, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is to cut the piece to rough length, put it in here and scribe that edge, because the walls are never exactly straight. I'll scribe the edge, and then I'll cut it and plane it so it matches. When I put the piece in, I know the molding is not gonna tip between the wall and the frame, because that's always a pain too. It opens up a gap on the back side of it, or it opens up a gap on the front side of it. The joints don't go together right. So I'm gonna scribe the pieces before I actually build a frame out of them. All right, anyway, this is getting long and winded. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, well, there you have it. We're all done for today. All cleaned up. Got the second window done too. Actually, this one went way quicker. Took me most of the day to do that one. Probably 3:30, 3 o'clock. Sat down and had a cup of coffee, or 3:30. Came back out here afterwards, and probably in an hour and a half, I only had the 3 blocks on that one side. left to do. This one went way quicker. It wasn't near as, the top was flat and square and all that good stuff. A little bit out of level. Bottom was a little bit out of level, but I think all in all, this one had less, it needed less adjustment than the other one did. But anyway, that's what it looks like with all the blocks in it. So the next thing now for me to do is to whittle the frame down. I'm going to cut the material so it'll fit in here and then scribe it so that it matches the contour of the wall, you know, in and out, all that kind of stuff. And I'll cut it so that when I put it up against the window, it matches the wall. The outside face matches the wall. When I put the molding on it, the molding will sit nice and flat on the wall and the frame. Anyway, there's the vertical that I used. The vertical that I used to make sure all of these were the same dimension between the top and the bottom. So like I said, I'm ready now for the frame. Next step is to cut up the frame pieces, make them match the dimension, the thickness of the wall. And I'll rabbet the two verticals so that the top and bottom sit in a rabbet, and glue them and nail them and put the thing in there as one piece and nail it off. Show you that when we get there. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye.